Hi everyone, Dr. Marco. Welcome to this week's health tip. So I'm going to probably do a series of videos on a very important topic. So basically, other than the brain, I think one of the most important organs in the body is kind of one of the most overlooked ones. And I've talked about it a couple of times in other videos, but it's your liver. Why is the liver so important? Well, the way our society has become industrialized, the liver is basically your body's filter. And the main job of your liver is to filter stuff that comes in your mouth, more or less, things that you eat. And there's so much that even like just inhaling and going in with the food, but basically most of the stuff that's coming into our system, your liver has to kind of process it to filter it. And the reason it's doing that is, one of the main reasons is to protect your brain, because the brain is super sensitive and it's very delicate, and if you damage your brain, you pretty much die, right? So basically food comes into your intestine, it gets absorbed into the walls of the intestine through a venous system that comes up to your liver, so it can filter stuff out, so because after this it'll go to your heart, and then the next pump is up into your brain. So the filter is really important kind of stop point between what you eat, the toxins in your food, and then going into your heart to get up into your circulation. So probably the best thing I've ever read or seen about the liver is by Anthony William, and he wrote the book called Liver Rescue, which is a big kind of monster like this. But it's probably the most detailed thing you could ever read, still in general, easy to understand language, and more than likely it's more accurate than anything else you read, even though there's nothing scientific about it. But I'm going to be talking about some of the concepts that he brings up here. So the first part I'm going to talk about is that he talks about the liver having different sort of layers. So when we look at the liver, we kind of talk about lobes, right? There's a lobe here, and there's some on the back too, but he talks about like the depths of how toxins can get into the liver. So there's like a superficial layer, and then there's a sub-layer, and then there's the core of the liver. And different toxins that come into our body will kind of sit or kind of hang out in those different layers, and your liver will kind of like sequester them and try to take them out of circulation and put them into different spots and kind of package them to keep you safe, basically. So I'm going to talk about a few of these different layers, and I'm going to talk about most toxins will either sit in one or two of those layers, but there's one sort of category that goes into all three of them in the liver, because they're so kind of damaging. Your liver kind of tries to put it anywhere, and it can sit in any one of these three layers of the liver. So I'm going to talk about what those things are right now. Okay, so the three kind of layers or layers that he talks about, basically there's the perimeter, which is just kind of really on the outside. Then he calls it the subsurface, just underneath that, and then the inner core is the deeper part. Okay, so what category of toxins can actually go through all three layers? And that category is called, I call them the sides, the C-I-D-E-S. Okay, so what sides am I talking about? I'm talking about pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and the one most people don't even know is a thing, rodenticides, okay? So these are kind of the big category of the things that kind of, side means like to kill, right? Suicide meaning you're killing yourself, but sides are like killing these things, right? Pests, weeds, funguses, and rodents, right? So all these things have a killing aspect to them, so they're very, very toxic, right? So just because we're spraying them out there doesn't mean it can affect us in here, and it does, right? So they're spraying these things on crops, they're spraying it on in parks and places around your apartment, and people are, the pest control guys are spraying it, and all this stuff. It can be very, very damaging. And the other two big categories is dioxin, which is basically coming from, when they're burning, and like, there's these things they do in the States, you might not know this, but they put this like plastic covering on crops with holes in them where the plants can grow, but then they take those plastics off and actually burn them. So burning of plastics, burning like incinerators and all those kind of things can produce dioxin and fluorines and things like that, which are some of the worst chemicals in the world. And then the other big one is DDT. The problem with the DDT, it was, kind of invented in the late 1800s. They kind of started using it as a pesticide around maybe the early 1900s, that kind of thing. And so they're using it as a pesticide, kind of like for pest control and that kind of stuff, kind of to try to prevent insects and things from destroying crops in the States and those kind of things. But if you look go into YouTube and look at DDT spraying, you'll actually see that they used to be spraying it on people. They used to actually advertise this as like a health thing. Kind of funny, like cigarettes used to be recommended by 9 of the top 10 doctors smoke Marlboros and stuff. So all these things that were not really good for us used to be advertised, right? So they used to advertise DDT as something you can use as a health thing. But the big challenge with DDT, most toxins in general, we say they're water soluble. So you can spray it down and dilute it. And we kind of say like nature's solution to pollution is dilution. So just diluting it, it gets less and less, and it kind of gets spread out, and it's less damaging. The problem with DDT, we say it's like a fat-soluble toxin, so it kind of sticks around, and it's harder to get rid of it, sort of. So it kind of gets passed down through generations. So even though they're kind of not really using it since, I don't know, the 70s or whenever they stopped it here in North America, they still use it in India and China, in Korea, and different places over there for still pest control and that kind of stuff, right? To prevent disease vectors and all those kind of things. So crops over there, they still spray it there. Those things come over here still. We still have importing and exporting and all that stuff. So it can still be present in our environment. But it's very persistent. So even though it may have been sprayed, if you look, like I see those old videos of them spraying it on kids in a pool full of kids, and they're spraying it. The truck is going down the street and spraying it, and kids are running after it and stuff. So all that stuff got into our systems, and it's really hard for your body to get rid of it. And so it can actually be passed down through generations, either from in people's livers and toxins in their fats, and then generations of this stuff can get passed down. And your body, it's not easy for our bodies to get rid of it. So there can even be people born today with the toxic burden that their parents had from in the past. And so some of the challenging things, if you look up this stuff, go find the stuff on YouTube, but look up DDT's connection to the paralysis aspect of the polio epidemic, and you'll find some interesting research about that actually, which is kind of neat. But this can be very damaging to your nerve system and that kind of stuff as well. So just look into that. So this is kind of, I just wanted to give you this quick overview of the different kind of toxins that can have an impact. There's a lot of others too, we can go into different things, but these are kind of the big ones that have kind of a really damaging effect, and they're very common and they're out there. So I'll go through some of the strategies he talks about, like certain foods and herbs and things you can kind of use that can maybe help your liver kind of grab onto these and get them out of your body. Give yourself a bit of a better chance to kind of clean out your liver and clean out your toxic load from your body. And then in other videos I might go over like the different sides of the liver, like not the lobes necessarily, but like if stuff is irritating the top, it can actually cause different symptoms in your body. You might have different discomforts and things like that, or hot flashes and things depending on where it's happening in the liver. So I'll get into that in some other videos too. But I just wanted to get that over, kind of that general overview about the toxic load and what kind of things can be damaging on this aspect of it. So that was the health tip this week. If that was helpful, please share it, or interesting at least, and we'll see you next time. Bye.